Eso básicamente no tiene mucha consecuencia. Lo que el presidente dijo claramente hoy, las Fuerzas Armadas de los Estados Unidos todavía están ahí, están en la área, y no va a permitir que se mantenga ese régimen. Ahí no hay confusión, y obviamente muy agradecidos por esa actitud muy clara de la administración de que ese régimen, el cartel de los soles, no tiene cabida ni futuro en Venezuela.
También podemos añadir a eso que Delci Rodríguez y su hermano están en la lista de los sancionados, número 1. These are the facts. Están en la lista, hay otra lista donde hay mucha gente sancionada por narcotráfico, por corrupción, por otros crímenes. Número 1 y número 2, la señora Delci dijo hace pocas horas de que Maduro era el presidente legítimo del país y que lo tenían que los Estados Unidos liberar. Ya ahí demuestra nuevamente quién es, mostró sus colores, y estoy de acuerdo con lo que dice Mario. El presidente lo dijo muy bien, de que no se podían ir los Estados Unidos y dejar a cualquiera de todos estos bandidos, porque es Alibaba y los 40 ladrones. No vas a poner al ladrón número 25. Lo que hay que hacer es, lo que dice Mario, es estabilizar el país. ¿Y quién mejor que los Estados Unidos para estabilizar y los soldados americanos? Y después de estabilizar, entonces permitirle a la sociedad civil y a la oposición venezolana organizarse y que entonces decidan qué va a pasar. Es temprano, pero la buena noticia es que estamos en el principio del fin y que se acabó el cartel de los soles.
Let me just go to her.
Quería saber qué va a pasar ahora con Diosdado Cabello y los demás imputados.
Bueno, Diosdado Cabello está...
¿Para sacarlo de Venezuela?
Ok, Diosdado Cabello está en el indictment, o en que un jurado general o un grand jury en los Estados Unidos en el 2020, hace 5 años, también está, si usted lee, la imputación está Diosdado Cabello, lo cual significa que Diosdado Cabello también tiene sus días contados. Sabemos lo que acabo de decir de Delci. Entonces, el presidente lo dijo, que aquí lo que hay es que limpiar la gente que participó en el cartel de los soles y en toda la represión y la corrupción, y entonces permitir que las fuerzas de la sociedad civil suban y que ellos determinen, los propios venezolanos, quién quiere. Sabemos que en el 24 hubo una elección donde estaba el mundo, porque no, y María Corina el vicepresidente, pero hay que ver cómo se quieren organizar. What are you saying?
What does it mean when the president says that the U.S. is running the country?
It's very simple. It's very simple. It's very simple. It's not that complicated. Look, there obviously has to be a transition. Obviously. Because the head is not there. The head of that cartel, that narco cartel, despite being defended by the left, is no longer there. He is now already in New York, and he will be in front of a judge to face the justice system of the United States of America. So therefore, there obviously has to be a transition. And it's very clear. What the president is saying, and he's been very clear about it, not only today, by the way, but he's been very clear since the beginning of this administration, which is that regime, that cartel, can no longer be part of Venezuela. They cannot be controlling Venezuela. He's declared war on these narco cartels, including by name El Cartel de los Soles, headed by Maduro. But logic will tell you, because this is real, this is not a TV episode, that there's going to have to be a transition period. And the United States, as the president has been very clear, does not want to allow for the head to be taken out and all of a sudden the same regime to stay there, the same cartel. So the U.S. is going to be involved in that process. It is not the hardest thing to understand that when you take out the head person, you're going to have a transition. And so what? The question is that the United States should have no role in that transition? Of course it has to have a role. The United States Armed Forces risked their lives to take the cartel head out. Now, there's going to have to be a transition. And the concept that the United States should have no role is frankly kind of like watching too much television.
I think that
when we talk about transition, why are you not willing to support Maria Corina and Mundo to be?
Wait, hold on a second.
Let's talk about that.
First,
yeah.
You're talking to us?
Yes.
When have we ever not supported
Well,
it? No, wait. But let's look. These are serious issues. Do not put words in my mouth. And do not, no, wait, but you said us. You said us. You said us, okay. But it's very, I will not tolerate putting words in my mouth or my colleague's mouth.
Yeah.
We have been consistent from day one. And I am convinced there's going to be a transition. We already talked about that. And I'm convinced that when there are elections, whether there are new elections or there's a decision to take the old elections, the last elections, that the next democratically elected president of Venezuela is going to be Maria Corina Machado.
Let me add a little bit more. Let me add just a little bit more. That's what are the facts? The facts are that in July 2024, there was an election supervised by Maduro. That election, Maria Corina proved through the world, through tallies that she was able to smuggle, that they won 70-30. We do not know, maybe they won by more or by less. We also know that Maria Corina had been the person who won the primary, that the Venezuelans decided that she was going to be the elected nominee for the opposition party. And that Maduro decided that he didn't like her, so then they decided to put Edmundo Gonzalez. So we know that there is an opposition that has been organized by Maria Corina and Edmundo and her party, and they are a very legitimate force inside Venezuela. So we are supporting her, and we're supporting everything that the opposition forces and the civil society decide to do. But I agree with Mario that she has proven, empirical evidence has proven, that she proved that her party won the elections, and if she needs to go back and then run as the president, as the legitimate president, then she absolutely could win.
One more thing. Excuse me.
I
Okay.
want to ask you about the domino effect, because everybody's talking about that and how important it is to this community, right?
Yeah.
When it comes to the effects this may have on Cuba and Nicaragua. How realistically do you think that's going to happen?
Well, I think that there's a very good chance that happens, and I'll tell you why. Because the Cuban regime is probably in the weakest point it's been probably in its history right now.
Yeah.
Can't even keep the lights on. They can't feed its people. They have no medicine. It's pure misery there. And the Maduro regime was a regime that was propping up the Cuban regime. And so now that you have no more, I don't believe we're going to have any more help to the Cuban regime, just going to make them that much weaker. Also, I always listen to the president, really, okay? I mean, I really listen to him very carefully, and somehow he mentioned Cuba, all right? And I don't think that that's a coincidence. And so is there a possibility of a domino effect? Yeah. Yes. And also the people in our hemisphere have just seen what happened. And so there is a domino effect there. It also, I believe, will have a positive effect on Colombia, where we have a far leftist president there. And now the people of Colombia say, oh, the United States is finally taking, attention and paying attention to us. And I think in next year's elections, we're going to have a little bit different result in Colombia. And so, I do believe that there is a domino effect. Now, if anybody doubts, our support for Maria Corina Machado, he couldn't go because he had a previous engagement. We two went to Oslo, okay, to be with her, all right, when she got the Nobel Peace Prize. And we didn't do that because, hey, that was a cool trip, although it was very cold, okay. We did that to show our support for Maria Corina Machado, her courage, and her charisma. And I'll tell you what, that she is a very, very popular figure. Had it not been for Maduro, she would have been the president, okay. And that. What?
Do you have a question on European partners, please?
Hold on.
The European Union has stressed restraint. They want to have respect for international laws. They call for restraint. What is your?
Do you want me to answer that first?
The international look.
Restraint.
This is very
Restraint of
easy.
what?
This was a non-conventional war. Maduro was a non-legitimate president. He was indicted in 2020 by a federal grand jury. He is the head of these are all facts for a journalist. He was the head of a drug cartel called the Solis. Since 2000, he has been smuggling drugs and sending to Nicaragua. So we never violated any international laws. That's why we were okay in having President Trump not consult with Congress, because this is in his purview. Obama did it, Clinton did it, Reagan did it, and Bush did it. So now Trump is doing it. Just because Trump may not be liked by some people does not mean that he cannot follow in those steps.
Look, first of all, this was a law enforcement action. This was arresting somebody who's been indicted here in the United States. And so it's not unprecedented. The fact that it needed armed forces is because they needed to protect the arresting officers while they were arresting the criminal, the alleged criminal, all right, to be brought to justice to the United States. And so I don't see the illegality of it. And if you come from the European Union, many of the states in the European Union don't recognize Nicolas Maduro as a legitimate leader of Venezuela. And so if he's not the legitimate leader of Venezuela, I fail to understand how people think that this is not a legitimate action. It is a law enforcement action. It was very clear. We're not at war with Venezuela. This is a law enforcement action, and I'm very proud of the president and our armed services and the FBI agents that went along to make sure that they arrested Nicolas Maduro and his wife, who were both under indictment.
And hold on. We'll get there. But also, it's just very important. Look, we love our European allies. They're strong allies. It's an important alliance. But there seems to be this very interesting attitude that when it's time for the United States to protect the American people and the United States security interests from a narco cartel that is responsible for the death of hundreds of thousands of Americans, the Europeans, our friends, ask for restraint. But they don't ask the United States to be restrained when they ask for help with dealing with Russia.
That's right.
And so to our European friends, it's about time that they realize that in this hemisphere, we have real threats to the national security interests of the United States. In Venezuela, you've got the Russians, the Iranians, the Cubans, Hezbollah, you name it, right? And so the concept that we should only be restrained when it's to protect American interests and American lives is the definition of hypocrisy. So we're going to take another Fox. Is Fox here? Is Fox here? Fox, where's Fox? Where's Fox? Where's Fox?
Right here.
All right, good. ¿Eh? Sí, no, nosotros admiramos mucho a nuestros aliados europeos, son aliados muy importantes, económicos y en todas formas, pero es interesante que cuando los Estados Unidos protegen los intereses de los Estados Unidos en este hemisferio, básicamente ahora trae a un narcotraficante a la justicia norteamericana, a las cortes norteamericanas, nuestros aliados europeos se ofenden, pero al mismo tiempo no se ofenden y exigen y le piden a los Estados Unidos todo tipo de ayuda para proteger los intereses europeos en Europa. Así que eso es la definición de la hipocresía. Nosotros admiramos y queremos mucho a nuestros aliados europeos, pero que sepan que igual que ellos tienen el derecho de proteger la seguridad de ellos en Europa y que le piden y le exigen ayuda a los Estados Unidos para hacerlo, que no se quejen cuando los Estados Unidos protege al pueblo norteamericano y los intereses de los Estados Unidos contra un narcotraficante en este hemisferio. Take one more. Take one more.
I think one more. I don't know if
With all that said,
Let's take him.
you support military action over Havana now that Maduro's gone?
repeat
Look.
that question again.
We support, military action against Havana. Look. This president, this administration has been very clear about what their attitude and their policy is. And you saw it, you've seen it in the attitude towards Havana, towards Managua, and obviously towards the cartel in Venezuela. The president has reversed all of the concessions that the Biden administration gave to the regime in Havana. The previous administration, it wasn't that they were not pressuring the regime in Havana. They were going out of their way to help the regime, the anti-American terrorist regime in Havana. To the point, by the way, that in the previous administration, we were able to stop this. They actually wanted to give the Cuban terrorist regime access to the United States banking system, and they wanted American taxpayer money to go help pay and bail out Castro's own businesses and his family and his associates' businesses in Havana. That has been reversed. We're seeing now, we've seen very strong pressure against the dictatorship in Havana. Mark my words, you're going to see more, and which is why I will reiterate what I've said multiple times. I was convinced that these terrorist regimes would have not survived another 4 years of Donald Trump. Let me say it now in a different way. I am convinced that the two remaining ones will not survive the last 3 years of the President Trump administration.
Okay, one more question. Last question.
I just wanted to, for the average, they always ask me, for the average American viewer, for the average American who does not understand, doesn't know our community, that knows the way we know the community. It's a new dawn for the Western Hemisphere. We're talking about that this is an America first, and I think my colleague said it, this is an America first policy. Yeah. America first, because the proximity of our backyard is where you have Cuba, Venezuela, and Nicaragua. And those regimes only want to harm our young adults and our average American by bringing drugs and by sponsoring terrorist cells. So for the average American that doesn't understand why we have to be in Venezuela, this is a good day for their children. This is a good day for your community, because now the Western Hemisphere, thanks to President Trump, is going to be free of those influences that only want to harm us out of envy, out of hate, not out of goodness. And that's why we thank President Trump for understanding that and for clearing the way so we can have better communities and more prosperous countries.
Beautiful. That winds it down. I do want to let me just a little bit of so. By the way, this building, we pay rent here, right? To our landlords. But Sylvia Fernandez, who allowed us to use this building and open it up. Thank you. I don't know where she is from AWS. Where is she? Thank you. The bottom line is, this is a great day for America.
Yeah.
This is a great day for freedom. This is a great day for those families who have lost loved ones.
Yeah.
To overdoses. This is a great day for the Venezuelan people who now can actually taste freedom right around the corner after this transition. And it is a great day for this hemisphere. The days of tolerance and of appeasement of those who do harm to the American people, to the United States, are over. Thank you, President Donald Trump. Thank you all.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thanks to all of you once again.